YouTube, what's good? It's your boy, Paul Harris, aka the Crazy Uncle. If this is your first time tuning in, go ahead, hit that doggone subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Every time I post up new content, listen, people. Today, being the 20th anniversary of 9/11, I've been seeing it all over Facebook. Today, talking about, well, where were you when 9/11 happened? And I was in Germany when it happened, down in the motor pool, actually really thick, and well, we actually really got the word that to get called back up to the battery area because they were saying that we were under attack, and I'm thinking that we were actually really being under attack is this is instead of what was actually really going on with the twin towers at the time. As I've said plenty of times, 9/11 really holds a very special place for me, not because of the controlled demolition that happened. And yes, there was a controlled demolition, right? But it was just for the simple fact that my mother was in the hospital because she had an aneurysm, right? And it actually like really, became a stroke after the fact because of the dye that they actually like really used to actually really find out where the busted blood vessel was. Died that she was actually like really allergic to, which actually like really brought on the stroke. But I couldn't do anything because everything was grounded just because of the 9/11 attacks, right? And it's just like what I said earlier. Anybody that knows anything about a controlled demolition, they can look at those buildings, right, and know that that was those buildings were actually really brought down on purpose. Uh, there's proof out there from the actual people that was actually involved that actually really said that was a controlled demolition. So I'm actually like not really gonna be. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse or a hobby horse. If y'all don't know what hobby horses are, them shits that be on the motherfucking merry-go-round, right? But in either case, that's where I was at 20 years ago. Yes, I was 20 years younger, right? And it's just for the simple fact that, if anybody actually really died, at least those family members, they death was swift. Whereas with my mom, that was 10 years, 10 long years, you know. And in other case, I'm actually really not gonna go. That's about as far as I'm actually really gonna go with that. Now on the other stuff, uh, I was watching Skip and Shannon Undisputed the other day, and then football season started, and so now Brady with his seventh ring, right? Now they actually really wanted to say that, okay, well, he's the greatest athlete ever because he's steady playing at the age of 44, right? But my whole thing about that is that it's people out here doing other things probably a hell of a lot better than he is at the age of 44, and if not older, right? People fail to understand that this is a game. It's a motherfucking game that these motherfuckers are playing, and it's just for the simple fact all those championship rings that he has, right? All of them are questionable, especially the very first one, the Tuck rule, which happened around about the same time that this whole 9/11 stuff took place. And with something else that you actually might want to actually really that y'all actually might want to take in consideration is because of although this was going on, negotiations between the United States and Afghanistan was probably going on to to act like really for the big opium push. Now here it is 20 years later, ain't no more opium probably. So now they got to get out of there, right? And just like I say, y'all can go actually really go back and watch the show that I actually really did on that one. So again, with all that going on, hey, all this stuff for the most part, if you actually really stop and pay attention, pay very close attention to it. A lot of this stuff, if not all this stuff, is connected with one another. So, but this whole Brady versus Jordan deal, I mean, I regret the fact Skip and Shannon, they the only ones they started it. But my thing is this: all of this stuff, regardless of sport, is questionable, right? But when you can actually like really just flat out see it, then uh, then then the answer is really rather obvious on like on who's actually really better. And it's just for the simple fact that I'm just looking at this and it's I don't want to say white supremacy or so-called white supremacy, but it's all that's almost where they're actually really trying to go with this at. It's I mean it's people that like say I'm not really fucked up about what people do in their 40s as far as like playing games go, right? They're like say I retired at 43 after 21 years. So I mean, so it's again you know it's almost like okay these people ain't really ain't got nothing else better to talk about here. But hey, I got it, I get it, right? You know, but this whole thing about Brady and Jordan, I mean, if you actually really stop and think about it for a minute, here's a guy that played basketball and was really good at his sport or whatever. That you really can't compare him to any other basketball player. So now they want to flip script. They want to say, "Oh, well, we gonna put him up against Tom Brady." Okay, that is two different sports, two different animals, right? And it's just for the simple fact that okay, with football, there's a one shot, one kill. Where that in basketball, it's the best of seven, right? So, excuse me. So for the most part, you really got to ask yourself: Is it really a fair? Is it a fair comparison, right? Because if that be the case, hell, you might as well just go ahead and throw in some greats like Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, Mike Tyson. You know, just to name a few, right? Hell, throw them in the conversation as far as like who's the greatest athlete, you know, regardless of sport. So again, these people here, once again, not really knowing what the hell they talking about. So that's my whole spiel about the whole 9/11 20 years later. My spiel about Brady versus Jordan. So with that being said, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell Big Dan, tell Big Bertha, your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your papa, motherfucker next door, cross street around the corner. Paul Harris, aka the Crazy Uncle. Till next time.